Hey folks, Jessica here. So today we're doing another class review, and as you might have gathered, it's going to be on Luchador. Luchador is an old class, so you might be asking why am I talking about it today, as opposed to a more recent class like Monk, another punchy class. And the reason is, if you were to ask me today what I think the most powerful class is, without any qualifiers, I would be very tempted to say Luchador. That's an interesting choice, because Luchador hasn't been rebalanced. It hasn't received any major new skills or tricks. And if you asked me a few years ago if I thought Luchador was the most powerful class, I would have definitely said no. The thing is, the game has changed around Luchador, and the power ceiling has risen, and that makes Luchador a very solid contender these days for most powerful class. Now, I know some people bristle at the question even being asked, what is the most powerful thing? What's the most powerful gun in the game? What's the most powerful card in the game? What is the most powerful character in the game? Some of that distaste towards asking that question makes sense to me, actually. When you say something is the most powerful, you're also saying something else isn't the most powerful. And it's an implicit criticism of everything that isn't the choice that was picked. But at the same time, I think it's a natural question to ask. There are most powerful things in any game. There's a best strategy, there's a best element, there's a best deck, there's the best whatever. Those are real things. Unless your argument is that everything in the game is equally powerful or equally useful, which I don't think many people actually argue because it's easily disprovable in a false argument, it's natural for people to want to rank things. This is why people have issues with character reviews in general, with tier lists in general, because it puts things in an order that might imply something or someone you like isn't that good. If you're a person that can look at the big picture of a game, then that's fine. But if you're a person that gets really attached to a specific character or strategy, that can be a bit of a bummer. So I understand both sides of the argument. But yes, if you were to ask me, generally speaking, which class is the most powerful, I would say Luchador. Now, if you were to add caveats to that question, like what's the most powerful full auto class, my answer would change. If you were to ask me what is the most powerful class for soloing Lucilius HL, my answer would change. But if you ask me generally, highest powered class, generally speaking, I would say Luchador. Let's dive into why. Alright, general information about Luchador is a continuation of the Grappler, Kung Fu Artist, Ogre line. It is an attack class. Its specialties are melee and melee. You better like punching things if you want to play Luchador. Its prereqs are going to be 2500 CP, 20 combat distinctions, and the trophy Superior Martial Artist. If you have any questions about those unlock requirements, look to my Unlocking Real 4 Classes guide. I think that's still up to date. It's been a while since I looked. If it's not, let me know and I'll look into updating it. Once you level to 20, you're going to get 2000 attack, 300 HP, 20% double attack, 10% triple attack for this class. And then the master bonus, the bonus for all classes once you get this to 20, is going to be 1% attack, 1% HP. And that's one of the better ones because it is useful on pretty much every single class. The class champion weapon is championship belts. As usual, we'll talk about those towards the end. Support skills. False Finish starts with a 5% boost to normal attack and starts the battle with lethal attack dodge. That's guts. Basically, if attack would kill your character, it instead drops them to 1 HP, and then the buff goes away, and the next attack that would do lethal damage will then kill your character. It does this thing with War God's Wrath that they don't really do anymore, where being a Luchador specifically buffs a certain skill, which is Pandemonium. It's a 30% boost to Pandemonium. Pandemonium is a buff that gives you 7% charge bar gain up. It also reduces the cooldown for Pandemonium by 2 turns. Its base double attack rate is 70%. Its base triple attack rate is 20%. The innate skill for Luchador is Knife Hand Strike. Like all innate skills, this cannot be slotted out. It gives you the counters on damage buff for 3 counterattacks or for 2 turns, whichever expires first. How this works is if you take damage, you will counterattack at a strength of 350% damage, and every time you counterattack, you'll gain 5% charge bar. In addition to that, it gives you 30% defense up and hostility up. All that is for 2 turns. The cooldown on this is 5 turns. Overall, I would say this is an average, maybe even mediocre skill. honestly, the counterattack damage isn't going to be super significant most of the time. The defense up can be helpful in certain situations, but at the same time, the hostility up can be detrimental in certain situations. So keep that all in mind. This definitely isn't the main draw of Luchador. The first skill is Ring Ruler. It has a cooldown of 8 turns. Ring Ruler is a buff that increases your hype level each turn. It ends upon taking damage, and the maximum hype level, as with all hype effects, is level 4. Now you might be asking, what is hype? We haven't talked about it before, but hype is an attack modifier that's common across a bunch of different skills. It's just named differently. They're all essentially hype, but with different names. It's actually more powerful than you would think because it's a separate attack modifier than all the standard attack modifiers. See my damage formula explain video if you want to understand how to best stack attack modifiers, but just know that this one's a bit more powerful than you would expect because of that. At 1 level, it's going to be 10% attack up. At 2, it's going to be 30% attack up. At 3, it's going to be 60% attack up. At 4, it's going to be 100% attack up. That's pretty good, though also keep in mind that it all expires if you take a hit. And in that way, it's actually anti-synergistic with Knife Hand Strike, since Knife Hand Strike is hostility up, so keep that interaction in mind. Overall, I would say Ring Ruler is a pretty good skill. It can be a very powerful attack mod. It's just gonna require a little bit of babying because you don't want to like immediately take a hit after you activate it. But all said, it's good. I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing, but I do use it sometimes. Next skill is Mic Hype, and despite having hype in the name, it has no interaction with the hype mechanic, which is hilarious to me. The duration of this buff is 3 turns, the cooldown is 8 turns. It gives all party members a 10% uplifted buff. Uplift, if you're not familiar with that, is a charge bar boost every turn to anybody that has it. So in this case, all your party members would gain 10% charge bar for 3 turns. That's going to be 30% charge bar total over 3 turns. That's going to be situational where you want it. Overall, I would say it's not a great buff because it's just not that much charge bar, but if you're in a situation where you really need to get charge bar, then it's got a place. I didn't realize this until reading it. It's all parties, which is interesting because that means it would apply to every single person in the raid when you use it, and that's some more upside for it. I've not actually checked that out, but I assume it works that way based on the wording. Okay, if you know anything about Luchador, you know that this next skill is single-handedly what makes Luchador such a powerful class. Tag Team. All allies attack about using up a turn. It's got 15 turn cooldown. That is an extraordinarily long cooldown. This skill, we're going to talk about a lot because it's on the surface powerful, but when you get into nuances of how it's used, it becomes even more obvious why it's such a potent skill. But what happens when you hit it? When you click this skill, all your characters are going to normal attack as if you had hit the attack button. They won't charge attack, keep that in mind. And buffs like double strike won't be triggered by this tag team attack, so keep that in mind as well. But everyone on your team will attack. Other buffs that are in play will all take effect. So if someone has an assassin on them, that will take effect. If somebody has a guaranteed triple, that will take effect. You will gain charge bar for this. So all that in mind, let's talk about some nuances. Unlike other class reviews, I'm going to be spending some time showing Luchador in action as opposed to simply talking about use cases for it, because I think the visuals are going to be very important and make it click for you in terms of why Luchador is so powerful, why Tag Team is so potent. So we're in Leviathan Impossible here, and we're going to jump around quite a bit, by the way. We're in Leviathan Impossible here, and the use case here is if you have a character that has a powerful effect that doesn't go away when they attack. So in this case, we're going to look at Harley and Narmaya. So I'm going to start clicking skills while I talk because it's going to take a little bit to get everything up. But if you're not familiar with Harley and Narmaya, give herself guaranteed triple. She can give herself a huge assassin-like echo. And she's just one of the heaviest hitters Earth has to offer. And unlike a normal assassin skill, her super echo skill doesn't go away on attack. Most of them go away the first time you attack, so Luchador doesn't work so well with them. With Narmaya, it actually sticks around until a turn passes. So you can kind of understand where the benefit of having tag team is here. So we got all the buffs up. So I'm going to tag team and just watch Narmaya go. So she dealt like, I don't know, like what, 9 million there, and that's from just tag team. We haven't actually taken a turn yet, and then now we'll actually take our turn. And keep in mind, we gain charge bar from that tag team, so here's our actual charge attacks going off. And Narmaya, note, still has her giant echo for like another 9 million. And after Chain Burst, this boss should be at less than 50%, I would guess. 53%. Well, let's see if Narmaya counts. Okay, less than 50%. So this is, by the way, this is the impossible version of fight. I know it's not a hard fight, but it gives you an idea of how much damage is going out. I think total the team did something like 45 million in that turn. So let's jump to another use case. It's not really the point of the video, but somebody's gonna ask. So here is my Earth Grid, and here are my summons. So watching the footage of that after, and I said Narmaya was hitting for 9 million. She was actually hitting for about 12 billion on both the tag team and then the attack. And then if you count the counter attacks, she did something like 28 million in one turn, so not bad. Okay, we're in regular Bahamut to show the next Luchador thing. Now, I am still on Luchador. I just changed Cheetah's skin to her new Blu-ray skin because Fairy is also using her new Blu-ray skin, and Vera is using her new Blu-ray skin. Jeanne d'Arc does not have a Blu-ray skin, alas, otherwise this would be Team Blu-ray skin. So what we're doing here is, if you didn't know, Fairy's 3 is pretty much the same thing as Alanon's 2. It takes a full charge bar on everybody to use, consumes it, gives everyone guaranteed triple for 4 turns, and an echo, and the shorted effect. Shorted is why we're bringing clarity. The relevance for Luchador is Granblue, if you didn't know, when her Aegis Merge is up, if she uses her 3 Divine Weapon, she gives everyone guaranteed triple, like that. But that doesn't last one attack, that lasts a whole turn. So much like the Narmaya interaction, we're going to abuse that in order to get basically 2 rounds of guaranteed triple. Now that's cool, but what that does in turn is lets us charge Fairy's 3 completely by turn 2, which is normally a little bit tricky to do. Fairy's a great character for farming during strike time, but otherwise is really awkward to use. But because of this interaction, we can use her whenever, because we can charge her pretty much immediately. So here's the first cycle of attacks from tag team. And then we'll do our actual round of attacks. So now we've finally taken a turn, and we can immediately just use Fairy's 3. There it goes. And then we'll Clarity away the short. And Fairy's 2 is a rather significant charge attack buff. So because we cleared the short, we can still charge, which will be very fast since we have guaranteed triple. And increased charge bar gain from 0. And this lasts 4 turns. So we're going to use, I think, all the turns of Fairy's increased charge bar, or increased triple before we charge that. Then Jeanne d'Arc there gives us a nice semi-assassin type skill, which again, guaranteed triple on everybody, so works very well. And then, yeah, I think we will use all the turns of Fairy's buff before we roll into charge attack. Makes some sense to me anyways. I don't even remember what that skill does. Cool story, bro. Triple attack reduced. Too bad for you, I have guaranteed triple. Yeah, reduced my hand spike. Okay, and now Fairy's buff is expired, so we can go ahead and use her charge attack buff. You're not doing anything interesting, so we'll just cast all the things. Clear away that defense down. Yeah, this. And then we will charge attack, and then I will move on to the next demo. I mostly just want to see Fairy's new charge attack, because I actually haven't seen her in the skin yet. Charge attack. Oh, that's super cute. We're not charge attacking for that much since our mist effect fell off, but It's whatever. Your escape pride skin. Alright, moving on. Alright, before anybody asks, here is the grid and the summons. My light grid needs a little bit of an update. I want to fully uncap, obviously, the Rongo mini ad, but I kind of want to add another Eden and then a Cosmos Spear. And obviously I need to drop this this Ultima Fist. I'm only using it for the cap up right now, so there's some stuff to be changed here, but that's not the point of the discussion, so moving on. This time we are in Akasha. I am hosting this one, so I can take my time to talk you through everything. So you probably see me do Akasha in my Enmity video, among other videos, but Akasha is a really important fight to be able to blue chest in order to get gold bars. I'm gonna make a gold bar video at some point, by the way, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But what we're showing here is how Lucha, and specifically Tag Team, really starts to make the game come apart at the seams if you have some ability to reset it, in this case Quillen, combined with other characters that have really powerful abilities if you can reset them. So what we're going to do is guarantee blue chest by chaining all kinds of bullshit, basically, in order to survive and also deal tremendous amounts of damage. So some of this stuff is superfluous for if I was actually trying to do this quickly, but I'm just going to hit everything for the sake of hitting everything. So we get Nier stuff up, we're going to cast Death, kill Nier, you know how this goes. This makes it so we can't recover health. Then I'm going to go ahead and charge a Predator. Don't forget to do that. Always awkward if you forget to use Predators 2 before you do the conjunction. And then now I just hit freaking everything. Conjunction, drop everybody to 1 HP. Get Predator Assassin. Give 6 all the 6 stuff. I missed them for good measure, I guess. Probably should have done that first, but whatever. And now, very, 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 very big tag team. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Okay, so we're at 350k now. That's not nearly enough to get blue chest, obviously, so now we're going to attack. Attack safely, mind you, because we have Unchallenged from Zoe. Sweet double strike from Predator, because Predator things. Alright, nice try, buddy. Oh, you want to use a charge attack on me, do you? I see you over there. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and just quill in immediately, which allows us to reset conjunction. So we're getting conjunction again for another turn of immunity. Can't heal Predator, so I can't give her double strike again, but I can give her Assassin again. Use all 6's stuff again. Some of this is against worthless, but I'm just gonna hit the buttons. And now we can go ahead and tag team again, because that got reset by Quillen. That's why Quillen is really strong for this setup. And yes, Quillen's not a great support summon besides the call, but we don't super care because we're Enmity Darks and our damage is so high. And this is kind of what I mean about the game changing to make Luchador more powerful than it was. Because certain setups are just so strong that the ability to take another like free turn of attacks is game breaking in many ways. So we're at what? 1 million honors, so we need another 500,000 more. Which is why I brought your friend in mind, Athena, so we can safely attack. And this setup is all about safely taking turns. That should put us about 1.2 million. Try. Now I believe I can, yeah, I can pot Predator here in order to give her more health, in order to consume to give her double strike, and then we'll just go ahead and use you for John ahead. So we're at 1.35 million. I actually wanted to kill somebody. Awkward that he didn't. But, yes. Now I can give Cheetah full charge bar also with Splitting Song. Splitting Spirit, sorry. And there's 1.45. Ideal would have been if he killed somebody in that attack, because that would let me bring Ray forward, and I can just use Ray's Cold Stare in order to stop this charge attack completely, but that's fine. Alright, now you do whatever you're gonna do, buddy. It does make me kind of want another, another FLB Gatsumon Alexio for another turn of unchallenged. But yes, so now we can just cold stare away whatever this idiot's doing. And 6's ultimate cooldown, so we'll just go ahead and use this. There we go, easy blue chest, and then some. And that is largely enabled by the fact that tag team's kind of a broken skill when your team does as much damage as Enmity Dark builds at the highest levels do. Moving on, and yes, I will show you the chest. Just gotta cut forward. Alright, I went to make some toast. Let's see where we are at. 2%, okay. 1%. Come on, gold bar. That would be a great, great piece of footage for this video if I got a gold bar off this, but, well, here's hoping. Gold bar, gold bar, gold bar, not a gold bar. Alright, moving on. Okay, I talk about Akash a lot, so let's show Luo as well. So Luo is a very nice light dragon that always gets beat up for his lunch money by a gang of angry dark luchas. The thing with Luo, though, is as a Dark Luchador, I can deal about 11% of his health in one round. And that's counting tag team, by the way. And then I'm bringing Quill in, so I can do it again. So that's 20 to 22% of the boss's health. Now, this seems obvious, but the boss only has 100% health. So 5 Dark Luchas going ham on Luo pretty much kills him instantly. So that shows you to a degree why tag team's such a powerful skill. Because I'm going to deal 10 to 11%, counting tag team, and then I'm going to quill in and do it again. And that's kind of the thing that tag team allows you to do that you couldn't do otherwise. And yes, I know it's awkward. By the way, check out this team. Lucha, 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 Lucha. That's how it goes. I don't think I'm even going to get to... Like, I need to hit refresh, though, because I don't think I'm going to be able to even quill in before this thing dies. Because I joined a little bit late. But it's fine. It's fine. Also, notice that well, okay. There we go. I'm going to have to do another one so I can finish my thought. Moving to the next point. Oh, it's hard not to feel bad for Luo. I just wanted to go play ball. Instead, got run over by the Lucha train. So this is the grid. These are the summons. Let's talk weapons. Okay, there's a ton of fist weapons, so I'm going to try and be fast with this. If you're having trouble finding a fist weapon, whatever element, a decent option is the Revenant weapon. Its normal attack mod, and then its charge attack is counter on dodge to the whole team. Normally that wouldn't be that big a deal, but it's the whole team and it's 3 times, so that can actually add up to a decent amount of damage. This one, you could do worse than choosing this thing. Water has quite a few good fist weapons. Oberon, though, is probably the least exciting of them. I'm mentioning it, though, because it comes in both Primal and Magna versions. Ancient Oberon's Magna, regular Oberon's Primal, so that flexibility, I think, gets newer players some options that they'd be lacking otherwise. It's also easy to farm, and you can get it from treasure trades, so I think this is a fine option if you're on the newer side. Its charge attack is underwhelming. It only gives mirror image, but mirror image isn't terrible, so like that's fine. The skill spread, though, it's the same as Grimnir's butt plug, which I've rather mercilessly ridiculed at this point, so let's talk about it. Small attack and HP. I'd rather it not have HP and bigger attack, and then medium, double attack rate, and crit. I would, again, rather not have the double attack rate and just have more attack. And it's funny I should say that, because Wilhelm exists. This is only in Primal mods, so it's not really an option for Magna players, but this is from Granny and Kaung, or Renown Pendants. Would you look at that? Instead of giving you HP, it takes it away. And then also takes away that double attack rate. And then it gives you big attack. Nice. And then still gives you medium crit. So it's basically all the skills from Oberon pruned away that I don't like, and then in this form, it's actually a pretty good weapon in my opinion. It's got 20% triple attack up for the whole team on charge attack, which is very solid. You want a Magna option though. Spirit of Mana, it's a little bit hard for Europa players to farm because it's from Europa, and it's also 6,000 prestige pendants, so again, hard to farm. But this thing is pretty solid. It's an enmity weapon. It's got small attack and crit, and then medium enmity, which is a really solid combination of skills. Water's only issue is it's not necessarily a great enmity element in terms of enablers, but as a weapon itself, it's totally fine. Would not look at you funny if you ran this as a main hand. Its charge attack is supplemental damage and increased charge attack damage cap for all allies. That's a really good charge attack in my opinion. If you're looking for something else that's pretty easy to get, Zanwu's Shell Fist. It was so hard for me not to say shellfish. But this is from Rise of the Beast. This actually has a very interesting skill. It's got attack, okay, cool, but it's got this Hoarfrost 4th Pursuit. This is bonus water damage to ally in 4th position, so an echo. This is interesting. It only really exists in this weapon, but if you have this equipped, the ally in 4th position is going to get an echo, but they're going to get 30% hit to their charge bar gain rate, so they'll gain charge bar slower. Long time ago, there was a strat where people would run this thing and then Uno, 5-star Uno, in 4th position to do a lot of damage. That's not really a thing people do anymore, but like it's still got some legs if you want to play around with it. It's got a 30% echo for main character on charge attack. I would love it if it were team-wide, but obviously it's not, so it's fine. If you want to talk more premium options for water, this is Sochet's Fan, Water Sochet. Scarlet Vein. This is a normal mod. This thing is legit for primal players. In fact, if you have one of these in your stash, don't reduce it, because you can make a case for actually using this thing. Charge attack real quick is 10% charge bar gain up. Okay, it's not that exciting, but when you 4-star, it's 30% water attack up to the whole team, and that's actually not a bad charge attack. That's pretty good. Its skill is... They used to do this thing where they mix different elements skills on a weapon, so it has a fire skill for big HP. I guess if you wanted an option to get HP on your fire grid, then like having this is... I mean, it's an option. But the main thing is it gives big boost to water attack, but when you get it to 4-star, so level 120, it gives big boost to water attack and water allies damage cap. Effectively, this is similar to Greatsword Andalius, which is a very solid Earth choice. So yeah, damage cap weapon, pretty easy to get. Definitely don't reduce these. Dark Fist weapons. I'm gonna mention Celestial Omega because it's still a legit weapon for Magna enmity grids, but as a main hand, it's kind of garbo. Like, slight chance to remove buff effect. This is indicative of the fact that it's an older weapon. All the old Magna weapons have really bad charge attack effects, and this is no exception. I feel like if it had come out today, this would just do it. This would just be dispelled. There would be no slight chance part. So don't main hand this thing, but it's fine in your grid. A better option for sure would be Zvishadel. This is the Proving Grounds Fist. It's got Armed Shadow, which is big EX. It's got Royal Purple Blow, which is unique to this thing, and, well, to Skypiercer, actually. It gives you 20% bonus dark damage on the 3rd hit of a Dark Ally's triple attack. So, a lot of words there. It basically just means if a Dark Ally triple attacks, they'll get an extra tick of damage. Its charge attack is supplemental damage and 15% triple attack uprate to all allies. That's pretty solid. The only thing with Zvi's Shadel is it's very much outclassed by Claws of Terror, which is the Astral Weapon. This thing's a little bit harder to farm, to be perfectly fair, because it's an Astral Weapon. It's just in every way better, though. Like, it's got Unworldly EX instead of Big, so there's that. It's also got one main weapon, 10% damage cap up, basically, to Dark Allies when they multi-attack. Only thing here is this only works as a main hand, this cap up, unless you 5-star, which is gonna be hard depending on how far you are in the game. So keep that in mind. But as a main hand, like, you don't need to really worry about 5-starring it, so this thing is pretty legit. The charge hack is counters on damage, so just like I was saying with the Revenant Fist, like, this is the exact same effect as the Revenant Fist, but if you 4-star it, it also gives you this this armored effect, which is very nice. Overall, this is probably your best bet that's technically farmable for Dark Fist weapons for Lucha. When talking about main hands, we're mostly concerned about the charge attack, but I think it is important that the skills on it are actually decent too, because you don't want a main hand that has Garbo other skills besides the charge attack, or else you'd be running a class champion weapon. Too soon. But yes, Earth has a whole bunch of fist weapons. Bayou Claw is pretty easy to get. It's from Rise of the Beasts. I recommend the Malice version because that's the version that has damage cap up on it. Its charge attack's unexciting. It's mirror image, but it's two stacks of mirror image essentially once you upgrade to 4-star. So that's worth noting. That's not bad defensively. Here's Bandage, Ancient Bandage, we've talked about before. This is an Enmity Garrison weapon. Enmity and Garrison work very well together, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the charge attack. Charge attack is crit rate up, which is solid. It gives you Keen, which is supplemental damage to crit, so those fit well together. And when you're below 25% HP, this affects all allies. That's interesting. Only problem with that is you need to be below 25% for it to affect all allies, and Earth doesn't have a real good way of manually lowering MC's HP, so that's an issue. But the fact that you can put crit and key on everybody makes this a pretty good main hand, provided you can get it to happen. A very obvious choice is the Seraphic Weapon, Gauntlet of Prouder. This is totally fine as a main hand. It gives you all allies Earth attack up and water damage incoming down. That's a solid effect, especially if you're on element. Other Seraphic Weapon things pretty much mean that this is going to be on in your grid if you're on element anyway, so popping your main hand slot is totally legit. And Fire. It's got 2 farmable Magna Fist weapons, and they're both terrible. I'm sorry, sometimes that's just how it be. This thing's real bad. Colossus Fist. Its only skill is slight chance to dodge and counter. For Fire allies, it's so bad. Its charge attack is also, much like Celeste Claw, really indicative of the fact that this is an early Magna weapon. It's only 15% def down, that's it, nothing else. Just not an impressive weapon. The Shiva version of it is slightly better, but only slightly. It's still got the stupid chance to dodge and counter thing for Fire allies. And then it does have an attack stat, so that's a start, but it's only for melee specialty characters. It's like, why couldn't you just give it regular attack up? So this thing's not good. Because, yes, it does have attack stat on it, but it's only for melee characters. So you're not running melee characters, and Fire doesn't have that many melee characters, so it's not good. It's just not. It's got double attack, triple attack down, and then triple attack up for team on charge attack. So at least the charge attack's fine. If you have no better options as a main hand, then you could do this. Into more premium options, Crimson Fingers, the OG 30 Moon weapon for Fire. This used to be popular before Ixaba was a thing. It's basically a Fire Gisla. Big attack. Is it not massive attack? I would have thought it would upgrade to massive attack. Interesting, I didn't realize that. Anyways, big fire attack, and then medium enmity. As a weapon in grid, it's great. As a main hand, it only gives attack up, which is very underwhelming as well. But that said, it's better. It's so much better as a weapon in terms of its weapon skills that I would definitely recommend this over any of the previous two options mentioned. If you want another premium option, there's Deidre's Heart, which is a claw. This is Kahaka's Valentine's Kahaka's weapon. A little bit hard to get right now since it's not Valentine's, but this is solid. It gives all allies 25% attack up and a 1k shield to all allies on charge attack. That's a very decent charge attack. Plus, it's got big garrison, which is always welcome. And then it's got Majesty, so attack and HP. I mean, this could be a more impressive offensive stat, but I mean, it's tagged onto a skill that's very useful normally, so this weapon definitely has a place if you've got it. Another more premium option still. This is Reinhardt Czar. What is this guy's name? The Fist character that everyone was butthurt about because they thought he was gonna get a Grand character for the longest time, and he never did. He kept on getting snubbed, and then he finally got a Grand character after everyone forgot who the hell he was, and then it ended up being mediocre. That guy. Oh, yeah, it is Reinhardt Czar. That sounds so wrong. That does not sound like how his name should be pronounced. Reinhardt Czar? Whatever. This thing, as a main hand, it's actually pretty good. It's got stacking fire def down on charge attack, great, and then keen, also great. Main issue is the keen only applies to you, so that's a thing, but otherwise pretty good. The keen though is a big keen, like it's 50k. That's not bad at all. That's nice. It's crit multi-attack rate, so big crit and attack and trium, so pretty good weapon overall. But it's a grand weapon, so you would expect it to be. Overall, fire's a little bit lacking for good fist weapons. Like, it has good fist weapons, but I should say it's lacking for good fist main hands. So if you can't find one of these or another side option that I can't think of right now, then look to using a Revenant weapon. Moving on. Time to bag another Magna Fist weapon. Tiamat Gauntlet Omega. In grid, this thing is fine. It's big Magna attack, like, does what it says on the box. Its charge attack though is really bad, just like all the others. Magna Fist weapons so far. It's 15% attack down, and that's it. It's like, thanks for coming, I guess. It's just, don't use this thing as your main hand if you can at all avoid it. Again, a more premium option, Deidre's Claw. This is not to be confused with Deidre's Heart. This is Kahaka's weapon again. This is regular Skaka this time. In grid, it's good. It's big enmity, medium crit, very solid. As a main hand, though, it's got wind attack up for the whole team, and then earth damage lowered for the whole team, which is solid as a charge attack effect. Probably the easiest to acquire good fist weapon for wind is going to be Arcob. Arcob Prior is the fully uncapped version. This is from Xeno Sagi, which is, I think, still running right now for the next day or two. So if you're watching this when it comes out, definitely get one of these if you want to run wind fist weapons like Wind Lucha. It's a massive EX weapon. And then when it's main weapon, all allies gain guaranteed triple attack after a chain burst activation of 4 or more. So if you do a full chain burst, your whole team will get guaranteed triple. So that can be nice. Its regular charge attack though is all allies gain 20% charge bar gain up and 1 turn cut to main character skill cooldown. Like, all that's good. This is a pretty good fist weapon, and the one I recommend for win players. Hey guys, do you know what time it is? It's time to make fun of another Magna Fist weapon. This time it's Mitron's Gauntlet. Mitron's Gauntlet... Here's the thing, Mitron's Gauntlet, it's better than the other Magna Fist weapons so far as a main hand. But it's got issues. Its charge attack is actually pretty good. I would say its charge attack is great, actually. It is 30% damage cut to all allies, and then 20% light attack up. Like, as a main hand, it's legit. The problem is the rest of its skills are really bad, to the point where I really wouldn't recommend running this thing. just because it's got essentially a bunch of dead skills on it besides the charge attack. It's still got the stupid dodge and counter skill on it, which I wish they would stop putting on weapons unless they revisit this thing to actually make it useful. And then it's got this preemptive silver barrier, which is really weird. It basically makes it so all your light allies start with shield at start battle. Like, if it had anything, if it just had like one attack stat that was reasonable, then this thing would actually be pretty good. But because it doesn't, I don't recommend it. The one a lot of people use as light Lucha, myself included, is Huanglong Gauntlet. In terms of skills, it gives a big boost to light allies attacks EX, and then lessens incoming dark damage. Those are both solid. In terms of charge attack, it's underwhelming. It's just 15% light defense down. That's more interesting than it was just 15% defense down, because light defense down specifically is a bit of a rarer skill to have. So in that aspect, it's fine. It's just not mind-blowing. That said, this is probably your best option for main hand as a light Lucha. And like, it's not super exciting, but it's totally functional in that role. Another option you have would be Sunset Fan. This thing is more an HP weapon than anything else. This is from Koro, by the way. Yeah, from Koro. It's big HP, small attack. So I actually do run these if I need HP. Like for my early light Lucilius clears, I have a couple of these in my grid just to get the HP threshold. Its charge attack is just boosted skill damage. That's not super exciting either, but it is an option. And light doesn't have a ton of fist options that are good, so any of them are gonna be something to consider. Adamantine Gauntlet it's a good weapon, but it's got a very heavy limiting factor. Its charge attack is going to be 20% damage cut to your team when it's fully uncapped, so that's actually fine as a charge attack. And its crit attack, but the thing is, it's an epic weapon. Its attack skill is Grand Epic, which means it gets more attack based on how many epic weapons in your grid. I think for these to be worth it, you need to be running like 4 of these things fully uncapped in your grid. So that really limits who would actually use this thing, because you're not going to want to run just one of these. Because you run just one of these, this attack up is going to be piddly. So that's the main issue of this thing. So really for light Lucha, your best option is Huanglong Gauntlet. Okay, we're here. Skypiercer. I don't normally talk about superlative weapons because they are super expensive. They're 100 gold moons to get. They come 0 star, so you're still going to spend 3 Dama to uncap them. So potentially they're like 160 gold moons. That pushes it well outside the range where I say it would be worth getting one for most players, unless they're like really endgame and it's one of the few enhancements they have left to get. That said, Skypiercer is one of 2 superlative weapons that you regularly see in the top 3 ranking players in United Fight. It's certainly the case with the Earth one. The top 3 players were like all Luchas running Skypiercers. It's always either Skypiercers or Ulukumi, which is the superlative harp. We might talk about that someday, but let's focus on Skypiercer right now. Skypiercer is an extraordinarily powerful weapon. Like, it's hard to get, it's super expensive, but it's very strong. Issue with all the superlative weapons is they only come in one element. You can pick them in any element, but they are going to only be usable in the element you pick them in, so that's another aspect of their huge cost, unless you really want to get one for each element. Oh boy. But yes, let's talk about what it does, since it's a uniquely powerful weapon. When it's fully uncapped, it's going to give supplemental damage on charge attack. 40k supplemental damage on charge attack. That's a lot of supplemental damage. Like, it's not Keen. Keen only affects crit. This affects everything. Like, the grand weapon for Reinhard, whatever his name is, that was 50k supplemental damage to crits and only crits. This is to everything. Granted, this is only for MC, but that's still super, super powerful. The thing that makes Skypiercer really good, in my opinion, is all the superlative weapons follow this kind of template where they'll have like one regular, not weird skill, and then they'll have all their weird superlative stuff. And on a lot of the superlative weapons, their regular skill is kind of not a great one. And that's not a thing you want to see when you spend like 100 gold moons, potentially 160 gold moons on something. So Skypiercer actually gets off really nicely because its skill is enmity. So obviously it's fine. Nothing to worry about there. So that's the first step. Big enmity. That's great to see. Apocalyptic power. We'll just look at the fully uncapped version because honestly, if you're going to get this a 3-star, why wouldn't you get to 5-star? But Apocalyptic Power 2. When this is a main hand weapon, you deal triple attacks. You just straight up deal triple attacks. You can't not triple if this is your main hand. That's very powerful in any element. And then you take 3% damage a turn. Obviously, less ideal if you are running stamina, but this thing's enmity, so it's always going to be synergistic with itself. And then 30% bonus elemental damage, so 30% echo. Unconditionally. You will always have 30% echo as MC with this thing as your main hand. That's really big. And then it's still got the same thing as Vice Shadle, Royal Purple Blow. This is Elemental Blow, but if I click on the dark version, it will be Royal Purple Blow. This is the bonus damage on the third hit of a triple. It was good on Vice Shadle. And I think it being on Skypiercer is actually legit because honestly, you're probably running Claws of Terror instead of Vice Shadle now, so that like this is actually still a good bonus. So yes, this thing is crazy powerful and is an option for every element, but it's really expensive. And take that for what you will. Last and most certainly least, the Clash Champion weapon, Championship Belt. That's funny. I wonder, I've never built this thing. I wonder if this is like a belt that Jita wears and she punches people, or if she's literally hitting them with a belt. Because if she's literally hitting them with a belt WWE style, that's awesome. Someone who's built this, let me know. I'm curious. Ready to rumble, charge attack, sensing a theme here. Counter on damage 3 times and defense up. Some amount. The wiki doesn't know. If that were team-wide, that would be interesting. But it's MC only, it looks like, and that's not exciting. Let's look at the skills. So this is an older style of Clash Champion weapon where they're all going to have one universal skill that it's always on, and then another skill that is going to be dependent on what emblem you stick in. The universal skill is Reigning Champ's Nature. When main weapon enhanced Knife Hand Strike's effect gains substitute upon using Knife Hand Strike. So there's 2 ways to read this. One is that it boosts this effect, so you gain more defense or something, and it gives you sub. Or you could read it as the enhancement is it gives Knife Hand Strike sub. I'm not sure which way it actually is. I'm going to read it as the latter way, that the enhancement is the substitute. Substitute's a great skill on the characters that have it. So like Kalulu can sub, Granblue can sub, Aegis Merge. If you don't know, basically how substitute works is if you have substitute, when an attack is incoming, that character, the one that's subbing, will jump in the way and stop and take it for the team. And if it's an AoE attack, they'll take the whole thing for the team. Thing is, Kalulu and Granblue both, especially Granblue, have some form of damage mitigation that prevents them from being in danger when they do it, at least significant danger. Granblue, in fact, you would have to do an astronomical amount of damage to put her in any danger of dying when she's subbing with Aegis Merge up. Main character, especially their Luchador, that's much less the case. Like, I don't really see many situations where I'd want my main character that's a Luchador to take the hit for the team. In fact, this being tied to Knife Hand Strike makes Knife Hand Strike less of an option to use. Because, like, you can't turn this off. So anytime you Knife Hand Strike, you're also subbing. And that's going to be dangerous sometimes. Again, it does depend on if this thing gets significantly better and, like, you get a ton of defense. But it would have to be a lot of defense for me to want to take a hit on my Lucha instead of the team. Other skills. Let's see. Reigning Champ's Humanity. 1 main weapon, 10% boost to 1 foe, damage cap, MC only. Okay, so it's 10% auto attack cap up for main character. Thing is, it really should be the whole team. Claws of Terror is an easy example compared to in Dark. That thing is if anyone on your team multi-attacks, they gain cap up. It's the whole team. Yes, they have to multi-attack, but you pretty regularly multi-attack if you're at any point past the beginning of the game. That's if you main hand it if it's 4-star. If it's 5-star, then you don't even have to main hand it. So this thing, having essentially the same magnitude of a buff only for main character, only main hand it, not exciting. Rain Champ's Divinity. One main weapon, speed up ally charge bar game when using my kite. Here's the thing. You saw me use you saw me do a bunch of fight as Luchador, using Luchador. I didn't use Mike Hype in any of those setups. And that's the thing. Mike Hype is an interesting skill on paper. Gives charge bar to everybody, potentially a whole raid. That's interesting. But it's just not that powerful a skill because it's only 10% charge bar, only for 3 turns, so 30% total. Unless the speed up is huge, that's not exciting me either. Rain Champ's Devilry. Rain Champ's Devilry. So this one's interesting. One main weapon, caster gains 1 hit damage immunity upon using Ring Ruler. So Ring Ruler, I would say, is more usable than Mike Hype. Still didn't use it in any of my examples because it takes time to get rolling, and then it also is a little bit vulnerable to damage because you get hit, it's gonna fall off. So it's not that great, but more usable than Mike Hype. But the thing is, that damage immunity is actually exciting because, like, one, it can save your life, obviously, but you have this whole substitute on Knife Hand Strike thing. So this means you could Knife Hand Strike to gain sub, and then Ring Ruler to gain damage immunity, and then safely soak a hit for your team, like safely soak a trigger for your team, assuming it works that way. That's more compelling. However, I still don't think that's enough to give this weapon a pass. Here's the thing. I've mentioned this when I talked about Lumberjack Class Champion weapons, and Lumberjack Class Champion weapons were about the same. They were better in this one, honestly. Class Champion weapons are almost never used anymore, except for a very few, like John Doe, or like Devil Finger, or I guess Storyteller for farming. And the reason is they don't have an attack mod on them at all. That means they're a dead slot. You're running 9 weapons, so 10 weapons, because one of them just straight up doesn't have an attack mod on it. So for that to be worth it, this would have to be tremendously powerful effects, and they're not. I think this one, with a Devilry emblem, the Devilry emblem makes it interesting, because there might be a fight out there where you would want to have a safe sub on your Luchador, which is that could potentially get you. However, if you're doing that kind of fight, I don't think you'd be running Luchador. So there's that. So overall, it's not good, but that's not unusual for a Class Champion weapon. Moving on. We've made it to the end of the Luchador class review. It's been a bit of a longer one, but I think that was necessary because the meta is in a place right now where if you're a very, very endgame player, Luchador is your best option in a lot of situations. I think a lot of people would make the argument that Luchador is the most powerful class for an endgame player. If you're running like Enemy Dark with Mir and Zoe, or if you're running like Earth with like Skypiercer, Luchador is really hard to beat. And it's awkward that the class essentially exists because of one skill, but the skill scales so well with how powerful your grid is. Here's the thing, if you're a newer player, Luchador is not going to carry you. Tag team's not going to carry you. If you hit tag team as a newer player, everyone's going to attack, and they'll like single and double attack, and they'll hit for like 100k each, and it'll be done. And that's it. And then you're not going to get any more benefit from Luchador. But if you're like an endgame player, the bonus from hitting tag team is multiplicative. It's massive, and it's not a bonus that you can get from anything else. And you saw it with like Luwu. Like it was 6 Luchadors out of 6 players. You see it regularly with Akash. All the racing setups are Luchador. So I think Cygames does need to consider that there's an issue here. Because inevitably, whenever they release a new class, it's really hard for that class to compare to some of the existing options. Like, outside of certain niches, right? Like, Luchador is not a great full auto class. Monk is probably a better full auto class than Luchador. Even Lumberjack is probably a better full auto class than Luchador. Luchador is not necessarily a great class for soloing really complex, hard fights like Lucilius, because Tormentor is a better option there. But for killing shit, Luchador is the best option in a lot of cases if you hit a certain power delta. And it's all about that power delta, whether or not Luchador is going to be a worthwhile class for you. So, I think this was a good discussion for us to have. Definitely, it gives us a bit of a perspective for when we talk about the power of other classes. But yeah, I do feel like it's an issue that Luchador essentially has one skill that's good, and then a bunch of skills that are but the skill that's good is so good that it overshadows the vast majority of classes in the game. So let me know if you found this helpful. I'm going to wrap this up because we've been talking for a while, and yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Bye!